But Baba, we got to be honest about something.
Yes.
We keep allowing ourselves to be used as a political football by this Republican Democratic Party establishment. Because when it comes to black people, there's only one party, and that's the white party. Neither party cares about us. Kamala Harris had nothing on the table that was going to work. Donald Trump had nothing on the table that was going to work. Oh, not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
And reason why? Why?
Because she had nothing on the table. We have 5 major problems in black America: miseducation, mass incarceration, gentrification and homelessness, police genocide, access to wealth. What plan did she have for any of those? What plan did Donald Trump have for any of those? If you don't attack that 5-headed dragon, then you're not dealing with black people's issues.
Okay. Some people said the reason why you didn't vote for her because she was married to a white guy. Is that true?
Well, I didn't vote for her because she didn't have a program for blacks.
Okay.
Now, her marrying to a white guy is her business because Kamala Harris is not a black woman. She's a South Indian.
Yeah. Okay. Now, speaking of marriage, the rumor is that you had 2 wives.
No.
True?
I'm going to have 2 wives, but I don't have 2 wives. I've never been married.
Okay.
What they're talking about, Baba, is in 2021 and 2022, at the FDMG Academy in Wilmington, we had a street festival, FDMG Family Festival outside.
Okay.
There's a fashion show to end the festival.
Okay.
To end the fashion show, there's a wedding scene in the fashion show.
Okay.
I wore the tuxedo, and I got married to 2 women, figuratively, in the fashion show.
That's what.
There was no real wedding.
But you do plan on having 2 wives.
Yes.
Okay.
But here's what upset me about that. Black Enterprise, and BET, and all these major black media outlets. Don't you know they did stories on me marrying 2 women? As if I really married 2 women.
Right.
But they never did a story on me saving children from the school to prison pipeline.
See,
they never did a story on me crushing the ADHD agenda. They don't talk about when I do good. They only want to talk about nonsense like fake marriages at a fashion show.
It makes for good reading. They want to read that stuff.
The black media got to do better.
Dr. Umar Johnson married 2 women, but you do say you will marry 2 women.
I'm going to have 2 queens.
Why is that? Why?
Because my responsibility to African people globally dictates that there be enough hands on deck to get the work done. It ain't about romance. It's about revolution. I am consciousness over the cookies, politics over the punani, revolution over romance, and institutions before intimacy.
Oh, boy.
Get the work done. The cookies will be there when you're done.
There you go. All right. My man. Let's go to Joan. Joan, how are you?
I'm good. The question to your guest, when you mentioned about being ripped off on your project, did you hire a GC?
For our small school, we didn't need one because we just needed systems that had to be repaired. But I did have GCs on deck. So, yes, I did have people who were GCs, who helped me find the contractors and so forth. And they, too, took issue with the way in which the situation was being handled. So to answer your question, yes.
Okay, so when you paid these individuals, did they do the work? You know, when you hire someone, you don't pay them up front. I mean, you may give them a small amount.
You got to give them a deposit so they can get materials and things like that.
Yeah,
and when you're dealing with
when I do jobs, I don't always get, money for material, whatever.
Are you talking commercial work?
Both.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is this, and it depends on the contractor, all right? But you don't just put that money up front. You may give them a deposit, but they need to move that job along before you pay them.
I agree with you. We're talking about deposits. And with commercial renovations, those deposits were kind of sizable. Even if you're talking 20%, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars for some of the stuff we had to get done. Bottom line is they didn't do the job that they were paid to. The good news is we didn't have to pay it all. So to your point, we didn't have to pay it all. But nonetheless, we don't like wasting any of the people's money. And it just
so you were able to get your money back from them?
Not all of it, no, ma'am.
Okay. So, but you were able to get some of it. Were you able to sue to get your money back?
I don't want to go too much into detail. I think we're getting too technical here. Just know that we're on target to open up the school soon. But to answer
I just think when you do, don't. I know you say you're not going to just dump on all black contractors, but
correct.
All black contractors don't handle their business.
There's some good ones out there. The problem with us, Queen. The problem with us is Delaware is the second smallest state in the country. And in Wilmington, Delaware, you have to be licensed in the state of Delaware and the city in order to do work. So although we have the perfect situation, it might be in the most imperfect location, if that makes sense to you.
Well, it does. But, you still got to cover your back, and you got to make sure who you hiring is going to do that work.
There's no way to know until you put them to the test. There's no way to know until you put them to the test. And everybody we used came highly recommended, by the way. We didn't just take people because we met them. Everybody we used came highly recommended, and they did not do the job well.
Yeah,
if they
but
did it at
although they may have been recommended, but did you do your own,
I'm going to be done on that point, my sister. I think I dealt with that enough.
Joan, I got to go.
They got paid, they didn't do the work, and so we had to move on.
She just goes into...
I love you, my queen. Black queens forever, snow bunnies never.
All right. Want to thank Sister V and Linda Matthews for setting up this interview and the Grow community. Tell us a little bit about tonight.
So I'll let Aaron touch on the discussion about tonight, the panel discussion.
Yeah, so Grow Community, we're a community mental health center based in Chicago, but serving families in Cincinnati, and really just talking about Black family. Like, how do we address the issues in our community? And we know at the core of it, we have to address the challenges in the family. You know, we think back to 1965, 25% of our Black families were in a single-parent household. We talk about today is 65%. So it's a crazy increase when we talk about the dynamics within the Black family of what we need to do to figure out how to help our families heal. We have moms who are single parents of sons, and they stress, they overwhelmed, they dealing with their own trauma. So if we could come up with a solution around the challenges of trauma, the challenges of what's going on in the households, I feel like we can address a lot of the key things that we're dealing with. When we talk about economics, right, if we can get the family to be strong, that's how we address economics. So Dr. Umar going to bless us this evening and really give us some nuggets to think about, how do we strengthen the family? How do we think about the solutions to strengthen the family? But I want to pose a quick question or go back to something. So Grow Community, we're a Black-owned company, over 100 employees, African-American, 95%, right? And so, Dr. Umar, my question to you is, you made a good point. Like, when we talk about the challenges around Black businesses, whether that's the quality, the customer service, psychologically, what needs to be done to shift the thought process of our Black entrepreneurs? How do we challenge them, make them think differently? What are the solutions to address this? Because we'll never get out this challenge we in if we don't address Black economics, right? Black entrepreneurs are operating at a high level where, oftentimes, though, people like, I'd rather go to the white, I'd rather go to Hispanic because of everything we just said. But psychologically, what do we need to do to change the mindset of our entrepreneurs?
That's a great question, Brother Aaron, and it's ironic because when we talk about the last election, the concept of identity politics was discussed a lot. A lot of people felt that Black people were expected to vote for Kamala just because they thought she was Black, right? We need to start practicing identity politics when it comes to how we spend our money. We will practice identity politics at the voting booth. But we won't practice identity politics at the shopping mall. If there's anywhere identity politics needs to be used, it's when it comes to our economics. Practice identity politics with your bank, with your grocer, with your hairdresser, with your barber, with who you get your shoes from, your clothes, your basic needs. We don't do that. And I think in order to change that is you have to restructure the priorities in the Black community, then you have to restructure the priority of identity in the Black community. Most of us identify as Muslims and Christians. We don't identify as Black people. So we don't feel guilty when we spend our money with a non-Black person because on the surface, I'm a Christian. And as a good Christian, I can buy from any Christian. I'm a Muslim. And as a good Muslim, I can buy from any Muslim. Now, he might be an Arab that does nothing for my community, but he's a Muslim. You see that? And that's why we got to stop putting religion over race. And in order for us to go back to a cultural imperative that dictates the way we act and shop, we're going to have to start raising our kids with a Black consciousness. We raise our kids with a religious consciousness. We don't raise our children with a Black consciousness. So until we get the Black consciousness, nothing is going to change.
Now, why do you think we're seeing so many 13, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids out there shooting with guns? Why is that happening all of a sudden?
Because
they're getting younger and younger.
Psychologically, problems only get worse if they are unaddressed. Black America has this thing that if we just ignore it, if we just forget about it, it's going to get better. No, it gets worse. Before, the shooters was in their 30s. Then the shooters came in their 20s. Then the shooters was 17 and 18. Now the shooters are 12 and 13. You know why? Because they're desperate. And we've gotten to a point now where these children are the grandchildren of those who were the victims of the crack era. These are the grand and great-grandchildren of the crack era situation. So these are children who never known love. These are children who never been properly cared for. These are children who've never been taught the value of education. These are children who grew up watching their uncles go to jail. These are children who grew up watching their mothers date the drug dealers. So they have no moral imperative. They have no set of cultural ethics that they live by. They are a lost generation, and they are lost because we gave up on them. The children are nothing but a print out of what the people think about them. If the children are shooting up, it's because we are not in their lives. Black America collectively is guilty of child neglect. We have neglected our children.
Whoa.
We have pursued career and money at the expense of community, and then we scapegoat the single black mother. We love to scapegoat the single black mother. Everybody blames the single black mother for why they don't graduate. The single black mother, he don't go to school. Single black mother, he's in a gang. Single black mother, he's in jail. We never talk about what the black church don't do for black children. We never talk about what black politicians don't do for black children. We never talk about what black fraternities, sororities, and Masonic lodges don't do for black children. We don't talk about what black leaders don't do for black children. And we don't talk about what black business people don't do for black children. Communities are saved by communities, not single black mothers.
Wow.
Hey, but can you touch on the media aspect of this? Because I don't want to not tippy-toe around it. Because when we talk about the impact of drill music, if you keep listening to the same thing, it reinforces behavior, even from the psychological perspective, right? And so there are elements that normalizes this behavior, right? And so if it's normal to carry a gun, if you're scared on the community you live with, but if you keep listening to the same message